Today I'm going to be checking out the Sonicake Matribox II, which is a multi-effects processor and amp modeler. So I'm going to give you guys a quick overview of what's involved in this device and also how I would go about using it not only at home but in a live situation. Let's go. Hey, hope you're all doing well. So full disclosure, the team at Sonicake did reach out and ask if I'd be keen to review this Matribox II on the channel. And of course, I said yes, this is what the channel's all about. We've got to look at new gear, cool things, and have fun playing guitar. So obviously it is this big. It's teeny tiny and very compact and quite light. It's one of the smaller style pedals, but it still works even with size 13 feet. It's got 3 buttons. Now that's kind of why I want to show you how I'd go about using it in a live situation. 3 buttons leaves a lot to the imagination. Sometimes it makes things a bit more complicated. So we'll discuss what I would do. It does have this wonderful little LCD screen which lights up and is very vivid in color. Now it's not a touch screen, however, it is super intuitive. It's got a few buttons here and we'll talk through it all. On the back, we have the expression pedal input, the guitar input, auxiliary input. You've got an effects loop, which is mad. A return send, which means you can obviously put in your own effects, but you can also use it in 4-cable method. We have 1 balanced output, mono or left and right. Phones output, so technically you got 2 outputs. There's Midi in and out, which are the mini TRS. USB-C input, which is great. USB-C is pretty universal, but can everyone just get on board and do the same thing, please? I have enough leads and enough adapters. Everyone, just do the same thing. And power over here, which is the DC 9-volt input. It comes with its own adapter. Now, there is no on and off switch, so you do have to have the thing in and plugged in. So when you turn it on, it turns on, turn it off, it turns off. So let's plug it in. This is what happens when you turn it on. Does this cool little screen. Matribox II, Sonicake. And that's what the interface looks like. I'll get in a bit closer when we get into the demos, but the best part is there also is a software editor. So you don't have to do everything on the pedal. You can get onto the computer and do it as well. That being said, it's so intuitive, I would almost just do it all on the pedal anyway. It's very lightweight and it's sturdy. It's made from some kind of lightweight metal. It's obviously made to be stomped on, so it's pretty solid. But interestingly, in the manual, one of the first things it says is don't get it wet. I thought that's interesting. And on closer look, around here where it's joined up, there is a slight gap, and I can only imagine that water would easily get through all of these little spaces. So I can only imagine that's why this comes in at such a competitive price point. For the record, it comes in at less than 400 Australian dollars, which is it's nothing these days in terms of modelers and in the digital world. 400 bucks? Whatever, I'll have one, thanks. So what does it come with? A lot. Comes with 63 amplifiers and over 93 pedal simulations, and all of these are modeled off real amps and real pedals. So the names in there are kind of tweaks off the real thing. So a tube screamer just says screamer with a K, for example. There are 61 different cabinets and you get 15 user slots for your own impulse responses. You get 10 simultaneous and movable effects blocks, meaning 10 things on at once that can be moved around within the chain. I should note as well, the expression pedal input, you can either put in a second expression pedal or you can attach a dual foot switch, for example, a Boss FS7. It does have that USB-C input on the back. Now that's not only for the software, it also allows this to be an audio interface. So you can plug into your DAW so you can record everything over the USB and you can also reamp. There's a looper for those of you who like to just have a bit of a jam and play over top. There's a tuner. Tuner's really good. Total of 198 preset slots, and it comes with 99 already factory built-in presets. And lastly, there's a drum machine built in. Now, is this usable in a live situation? I mean, maybe. It's not going to be like a Beat Buddy or something like that, but there are 100 different rhythms and a metronome. So that's a quick overview of what's in the Matribox II. Let's have a look at it, have a listen, and I'll show you guys how I would go about using this in a practical situation. Okay, let's dive into this pedal and see what's going on. First things first, let's tune. To get into the tuner, these 2 buttons here, press those, goes into your tuner. And it's pretty good. It's big, it's really easy to read, and it makes me in tune. So that is a good thing. You can, of course, adjust this here to be unmuted or bypassed. In that case, so it's just the dry guitar, or through. Get out of that, just press any button and you're back into this screen. So the first preset here is aptly named the Matribox II preset. Now I have changed it. It's not the stock, amp that was loaded in it. For whatever reason, I saved something else in there. As mentioned, it does come with a software editor. So I'm going to do a bit of back and forth between the editor and the pedal to show you what is happening. So let's have a look at what amp I've loaded up. The Soldano, of course. Now I'm pretty sure it was a Messer style amp originally when I got the pedal by default. That's what you should get if you get one. Quite seriously, on the pedal, it's so intuitive and really easy to use. You can see all of the effects across here, and you can see these three knobs. So these three knobs are related to a feature that is assigned under the hood. Now in this instance, this one is red and the effects is red. So if we press this button here, which says effects 2, it takes me to the parameter. Now that's a super overdrive. I'm pretty sure I adjusted that. And it said tone back in that other menu. So if we exit back out again. So we're on the main screen here, that is tone. So that's just a quick access to the tone knob on the super overdrive. Here, orange and orange, that's the gain of the amp, and preset volume. Across the board, all of the presets are 50%. So you've got plenty of headroom. However, there's not a lot of room actually on the output level. It's going to be clipping pretty hard if I push that any harder, so I'm not going to. There are some pretty good sounding presets in here. The only complaint that I do have is that they're a bit heavy on the effects. Otherwise, the amps and the cabs sound great. To change presets, we're going to press one of these two. That's going to take me to 1B. Morden lead. So this one here is a Bogner style amp. You can see they're Bog XT red. So there's a few different Bogner styles in there: clean, overdrive, blue, and red. So if you want to change the amp, you simply click on the amp in here and select which one you want, or you can hit that drop down box and choose from any of these 63 amps. It's definitely worth going through and having a look at all the presets, see if there's one that you like. Then maybe you can manipulate from there. Like any other modeler, I go through, find presets just to get an idea of what this thing can do. Within each preset, if you press this button over here, it does something. Now in that case, it turned off the reverb and delay. So you may have noticed that these parameters have been different per preset. The preset volume at the end there is usually the same, but this one here is the mix of the delay. And this one is, again, the effects 2, but it's gain this time, not tone. All of these buttons here relate to one of the blocks that are in there. So if I press effects 1 and press it now, it turns that effects 1 on and it turns it off. And simply here, press it twice, it selects it, then it turns it off. Amp, select it, turn it off. So getting into each thing is actually really simple on the device. You just press one of those buttons, it takes you to it. On here, you would just do what you would normally do. You select it with the mouse and you drag and you pick and you do what you want there. I almost think it's probably sometimes easier on the pedal. That's pretty cool. I do find it hard to read some of these words, especially in this light in this room at the moment. I don't know how that would translate to stage. My guess is it would be very similar. But if you've done the work prior, you should, in theory, know your presets. The expression pedal has been assigned to the volume straight up. But you can come into effects 1 and you can find a wah, for example, there, and that now becomes a wah. But you can see when I turn that on, the volume pedal does not turn off. So you do need to assign that. Now you can do it again in the pedal, but let's have a look through here. You go to expression pedal. So expression pedal 1. So there's a few different things that you can adjust. As you can see, module 1 is volume and the parameter is the volume. So you need to go to 1B because it's expression pedal 1. When you press it, it takes you to B, and that at the moment is nothing. So that's where you need to assign it to effects 1. And I want that to be the position of the wah. If I press that, now, yep, cool. Wah is on, volume is off. It's doing wah things, great. And it wasn't really hard to press. I can do that with my hand. There's some modelers that just make that impossible. Coming into the global settings, you can see there is an expression pedal calibrate, and same for expression pedal 2, and same with the foot switches, so you can get in there and adjust those. The foot switch, so this is where you assign things on the device per pedal and per mode. So I haven't talked about the modes yet. You can use what we're doing now, which is preset mode, or you can do stomp box mode. Now, being only 3 pedals, stomp box mode is fairly limited, but this is where you do it. So this, of course, was preset mode. To get into stomp box mode, you simply hold this blue button over here, and now we're in stomp box mode. So number 1 or letter A is control 1, control 2, control 3, which is great and makes sense. In preset mode, this is bank left and bank right, or up and down, and this one here is control 1, so it does move when you're in the other mode. Doing the controls probably is a bit easier on the software. You press simply that little button there, and it's really easy. You can just tick the things that you want in each control button, and it will do that certain thing. Really easy. This button just here, that is going to be what is on these 3 buttons. So we've got amp, gain 1, reverb spring mix, and patch volume or preset volume. So let's assign some things to this preset. So at the moment, this one here turns on the overdrive. That one does nothing, so let's make them do something. So here, let's make control 2 the delay. And control 3 was the modulation. What is in the modulation block? A chorus. So it's pretty heavy on the chorus there. Now, I like that this has the D chorus or dimensional chorus. It's one of my favorite choruses, and it's literally just got the 4 modes, same as it does on the pedal, 1, 2, 3, and 4. So 1 is going to give us a nice little bit of chorus. Jump it up to 4. And too much chorus. There we go. So that's how quick and easy it is to assign things in the software editor. It is available to do in the pedal if you don't want to do the software. You just got to get into the global effects and assign things through that way. There is an auto cab match which comes on by default. I don't mind that. There's a global EQ if you want to get in and tweak things globally and get rid of, some high and low frequencies. And what is great is that this is a parametric EQ. That's pretty awesome. So you put the low cut. How good is that? It just looks awesome. I love that. There is a drum machine in this. Now, is it usable? Kind of. I reckon you could probably assign something and you could turn it on and off. I reckon you could change rhythms. There aren't really fills or anything, so it's not like a beat buddy. It's just a rhythm for you to play along to. Now, some of you may have noticed this tempo here was moving just before. At the moment, it's stopped because it's decided to stop. Now, that is because I'm connected via USB so I can use the software editor, but I do have MIDI in enabled on the pedal. So, first of all, let's start a beat. So, in Ableton, now it didn't follow. That's because you need to have this button here pressed. Sync, try again. So you get the gist. Now that is quite easy to turn on the pedal. You just press that button. So easy. Let's build a new preset real quick, and then I'll show you how I would go about using this in a gig situation, because there's only 3 buttons and you're very limited in what you can do. So let's come down to this spot here. We're going to not save. Let's build a preset, not using the software editor, using the pedal. So I want to go to amp 1. Let's find a sick amp. I like Bingley. Yeah, let's go this Cali 2C Plus 2. Of course, a Mesa Boogie. Let's turn that on. That's the one I want. So it's selected. Sounds like pus right now. That's because the cab lock is not on. So let's turn that on. Now you can see it's already chosen for me the Caliph Dual 4x12 because that cab match is on. So be careful when you turn these things. They do jump up pretty quickly. I only wanted that at 100. Oh my goodness. High cut can come down to 10K. Now this is of course on the cab block. That will do. Let's go back to the amp block. Let's tweak that, make it sound a bit nicer. Now when you press that, it takes you through the different parameters. You've got gain, presence, volume, bass, middle, treble. Now this is a dual rectifier, or rather a 2C Plus Mesa Boogie. So we want to get rid of some bass, get rid of some middle, and a little bit of treble. Not too bad. A bit more presence, maybe. Look, that sounds okay. Get the amp started. So now let's give it an overdrive. I really, really like the super overdrive, so I'm going to use that. Gain is down. Let's put it at 10. Tone there's fine. Cool. So you can hear there's some noise. That's going to happen, obviously. I want to boost this volume a little bit on the screen, the overdrive. Cool, that sounds good there. So this is where we want to bring in our noise suppressor. So rather than looking around for it, press it here again. Boom, noise is gone. How good are noise suppressors? There are a few options in here. You've got gate 1, gate 2. If we go into the thing, we can see a bit more. So there you go. So gate 1 was really simple. Gate 2 gives you a few more options. You've got attack and release, and threshold in here. Awesome. So let's say I don't want the noise suppressor there. I can grab it just by turning that little knob there and put it in between the amp and the overdrive, at the start of the chain, at the end of the chain. I am going to put it in the effects loop, which is right where it was. Perfect. How good. Let's do some EQ. Great thing about this EQ, turning it on, we've got EQ 1, 2, bass EQ 1 and 2, and a Calif or California or Mesa Boogie style EQ, which means it's got essentially the panel of one of those Mark II style EQs. So we're going to bring some bass back now. Take down some 240, take down some 750, a little bit of 2K up and down there. Oh, sorry, 6K went up and 2K down. Sounds pretty good. So then I want some delay, and there are quite a few to choose from. And let's just give it a, I'll show you this ping pong actually. It's a bit full on. So you want to definitely bring the mix down and the feedback down. Sync, I'm going to turn that on. Trails on, so that when we change presets, the delays will spill across. And there you got the time. And that is now at 1:30. And there's a ping pong delay. So that's a pretty simple preset, and it literally took me 5 minutes maximum to throw that together while I'm talking to you about how I'm doing it. So you can probably do that way quicker. So then to save that on the device, there is that button here, literally just says save. So on the device, let's call it something different though. So there we go, Metallica, and save. Boom, saved. How good's that? So let's just talk briefly about how I would go about using this in a live situation. With 3 buttons, it's pretty limited. And these just go to the next presets. They don't necessarily go up banks, and I don't think you can assign it to jump a particular bank. So you can have like an ABC, and if you click on your feet, you can get through ABC pretty quickly, and then that would be whatever function you want that preset to do. What I would probably do is take it into Stompbox mode. So this way, straight off the bat, I've got 3 options. Now that could be a clean, then I could bring in some gain on the amp and an overdrive, and then that could be a boost and delay and reverb. So there, I've got 3 presets. That's not too bad. It does have MIDI in and out, which means you can use a separate MIDI pedal and pull up presets. So for example, in Morningstar MC8, I do have one of those. I would load presets into that, or load send messages into that, and that would pull up the presets that I want. So what I've done is I've loaded up literally just a few clips here in Ableton, and I've signed a program change in each clip down the bottom here. So 1, 5, 55, and 16. Now I picked them at random. Here I've got my preset loaded up. And now if I simply just press that button, for example, I'm now on a funky clean. Press that one, creamy overdrive. And flexibly. So the patch changes are actually super duper quick. There's not really much of a noticeable change, especially not like the head rush, for example, that you can hear a clunky change in that. And this thing, it's like $400, if that. It's cheap as. You could, of course, use the expression pedal input and use, for example, a Boss FS7. Now that is going to give you obviously 2 extra buttons. It's not going to jump around presets though. Same as I was saying before. It will give you more flexibility within each preset, but you're not going to be able to jump from 1 to 55, just like we did with this. That's, in my opinion, the best way to go about it. I like having separate presets. For example, a clean, a crunch, a heavier tone, and a lead. And within those, I can give myself an extra little couple of things. So choruses, delay. In terms of routing, you just get one signal path, which is straight through. But that's okay. If you're going to be using a wet dry thing, then, you know, this is probably not for you. But you can blend in the reverb, you can blend into the delay, and you can easily move everything around. For example, it just simply moves just like that. It's very, very simple to do those things. So for example, I would definitely want my reverbs and delays after the volume. So the volume here is going to be turning down and the reverbs and delays are going to keep going. Guitar cuts out, reverbs and delays are nice and pretty. There's a whole bunch of different things. You can quite simply just scroll through each of them on here and get all of the different amps, reverbs, delays straight there on the thing, so you don't have to go in and scroll through each thing. There are quite a few more features in this pedal, which I'm not going to go into today, so I'm going to go into things a little bit more in some other videos. For the record, this is not just for guitarists, this is also for bass players too. There's a whole bunch of bass presets and bass amps, cabinets, and those kinds of things in here as well. So if you're a bass player looking for a simple, easy to use, and very affordable effects model, this one's pretty cool. So that is the Sonicake Matribox II. It's actually pretty good, hey. I mean, it comes with some actual good sounding amps, good quality cabinet simulations. There's no gap in preset changing. It's not as flexible as some of the other units. However, like, it's totally usable in a live situation. If you keep it simple and you know what you're going for, you're gonna get those sounds in no time anyway. If you're just someone who likes to play at home, this thing sounds and feels great. You can get some quality tones and you're not gonna break the bank. So thanks again to the team at Sonicake for reaching out and letting me demo this on the channel. You guys rock. And for everyone else, thank you so much for watching. Stay tuned. I'll see you next time.